China's outsmarting us 100 to 1, 1,000 to 1. But I'm not blaming China. I think it's great what they're doing. But I'm blaming our people for not knowing what the hell is going on. Because we can't continue to go on like this. And remember this. Remember this. Oh, vote Trump. Oh, okay. Thank you. See? I thought he was a disruptor. He's a friend. See? Even Sarah thought that, but he's a friend. Good. Thank you. And by the way, speaking of vote Trump, please go out tomorrow and vote. Go out tomorrow and vote. You know, in Florida, they have the early voting, and I think like 40% of the people who's already voted? Yeah. That's great. That's great. No, Florida has a great system. They have early voting. And it's a great system. It's a good way of doing it, actually, if you could do it. And you know, I hear you're pretty tough. You know, in some places you can vote 19 times. Nobody knows the difference. You know, in some places you're not allowed to have a card with your picture on it because they say it's discriminatory. I mean, little things like that. So anyway, so here's the story. We're going to make great deals. We're going to make great deals. When one of the people walked off the stage recently, and they said, "You're never going to build a wall." I said, "Of course we're going to build a wall. Why wouldn't we build a wall?" The Great Wall of China is 13,000 miles long. We need 1,000 miles. It's actually 2,000, but we have natural borders. We have natural protection. We need 1,000. So you have 13,000, we need 1,000. To the best of my knowledge, they didn't have Caterpillar tractors 2,000 years ago. Do you agree? And this is a serious wall. The Great Wall of China is a serious wall. So we're going to build the wall. Then they say to me, but you'll never, ever be able to get Mexico to pay for it. Well, when you hear that there's an imbalance of $58 million and $58 billion a year, it's easy to get them to pay. The wall's going to cost $10 billion. You have the imbalance of $58 billion. That sort of means, not 100%, but it sort of means that's what we're losing in terms of trade. In other words, we have that imbalance. Let me tell you something. When you can't get them to give you 10 and they're doing 58, you're a very, very bad negotiator, folks, okay? Very bad. Now, Vicente Fox, the past president, he was angry. He was on television about a week ago, and he was with that particular crew right there. Boy, look at all those red lights. Look at those red lights that are on. So many red lights. He was with that crew right there. And he was angry, the ex-president of Mexico. So here's what happens. He was angry because he said, we're not going to pay for that you-know-what wall. And he used a horrible word, the worst word, right? He threw out, they said it on television, so I think I can say it, the F-bomb. Okay, he threw out the F-bomb. Nobody cared. If I would have said the F-bomb on television, I would have been given the electric chair. Do you agree? Would have been over. And his anger was incredible. He said, there's no way we're going to pay. Well, first of all, we made a lot of progress because 2 years ago, he said, there's no way we're going to build the wall. So now he agrees that the wall's going to be built. Big difference. So we made, but the anger, and it wasn't the anger about the wall. It was really the anger that we would be telling them what's going to happen. We don't tell anybody what's going to happen. We don't negotiate it. They get everything they want, whether it's Mexico or Vietnam or India or any country, China, Japan. Japan sends the cars in by the millions. You want to see imbalance. We send them practically nothing. They send us millions of cars. We send them like nothing. It's a one-way street. Let me just tell you, let me give you the good news. We have all the cards. We have all the cards because we're the money pot. We rebuilt China. What China did to us is the single greatest theft in the history of the world. I mean it. And I say it with respect for China. I'm not angry at China. I'm angry at our leaders for not knowing what the hell they're doing. That's what I'm angry at. So we're going to make great trade deals, and we're going to bring our jobs back into this country. We're going to bring jobs back. And I'm going to have Apple, as sure as you're sitting there, and I know they can't open up the iPhone and all that stuff, and, you know, I personally think that as far as I'm concerned, we have a terrorist. We had these two people radicalized. They killed 14 people that they knew very well. They gave them a baby shower, and then they went in and they killed them. Give me a break. There's something very bad. We have to be very smart. We have to be very vigilant. But we can't find out anything from their phone. So even when it comes to horrible terror, we'd probably learn something from that phone, because we'll find out who else knew about this, right? If nothing else. Who else knew about it? But for some nice amorphous reason, they don't want to do that. So we'll see what happens. But let me just tell you, Apple and other companies are going to start building their products in the United States. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. And that's going to happen, by the way. And, you know, you would think, now, they really do it because they have the money, you know, they manipulate their currency. And nobody in history has done it like China. They're like grand chess masters. The devaluation of their currency is incredible, the way they do it. And they always wait for bad news in the United States. Like there's a tragedy. Big news, they devaluate. They never do it when everything's smooth, because our government should never let them do that, because that's like cheating. And what they're doing is they're taking away business from all of our companies, and they're taking away business and jobs. They're sucking them out. Every time they devalue, they're sucking out our jobs and they're sucking out our money. And we are not going to let it happen anymore, folks. We're not going to let it happen. You know, a little while ago, it was just announced recently, but a little while ago, people thought China would never devalue for a long, long period. And then we had a problem with ISIS, or one of the many, many problems that we had, and it was big news. It took over. And China gave the biggest downward devaluation ever that they've ever done, actually, in many decades, okay? They gave this massive, and I said, there's no way they can do it. But I looked at the news, and it was so covered with that one tragedy and that one event that they get away with this stuff. We don't have people watching. They're not vigilant. They don't want we are just going to change things, okay? We're going to change things. Let me just give you one example. So the other day, 2 weeks ago, I'm watching television, and through the iPhone, I see that a certain company named Carrier Air Conditioning, I buy Carrier, good units, Carrier Air Conditioning is going to move to Mexico. You saw that. Not going to happen. It's not going to happen. They can move, they might move, but here's what we're going to do. Now, I'm a very conservative person, but when it comes to trade and when it comes to being like intelligent, I like to say common sense conservative. Here's what we're going to do. We're all free traders, right? But to be a free trader, you have to be smart. And we don't have the people that know what they're doing, so we can't be free traders in the true sense of the word. Here's what we're going to do with Carrier. We're going to tell Carrier very nicely. And you know, my wife always goes, she said, darling, like in the last debate, she said, and Ivanka said, both, Melania, Ivanka, you don't know about this, Sarah. They said, darling, don't always fight. Be presidential. I said, what? Oh, it's true. It's true. They said, be presidential. I said, wait a minute. If they come at me, I have to come back at them. I mean, when I hear little Marco say bad stuff, I got to hit him back, right? Right? So they said, no, just be presidential. It will sail right over your head. I said, like hell it will. It's not sailing. So anyway. But the last of it, I really purposely, I said, look, I'm just going to sort of locate a little bit. And actually, you know what? They say I've won all of the polls. Drudge is an amazing guy. All of the polls, time, from the beginning, they say that Donald Trump won the debates. I won them both ways. The last time, though, I was nice, right? Was I nice? I didn't criticize. I answered questions. I wasn't a wise guy with these two characters. And the third, don't forget the third. We have to talk about the third. So he always says he's the grown-up in the room. Let me tell you, if you remember the first two debates, he was nasty and vicious and terrible, and he came at me, and I said, what do you mean? You were a managing partner at Lehman Brothers, right? What are you talking about? You were a managing partner at Lehman, and the only reason Ohio is doing okay, and now it's not doing okay, now it's doing badly because prices went down. The only reason Ohio is doing okay is because you were sitting on top of oil. Without that, Ohio is doing terribly. They've had the biggest budget increase of anybody. This is a guy that approved NAFTA, and now he's trying to approve TPP, which I assume you're against. It's a disaster. It's a disaster. And that will suck the rest of the business out of Ohio. So we'll see what happens with Kasich. I mean, I'm doing well with Kasich. I'm doing well with your gentleman, Mr. Rubio, Senator Rubio. But we're going to see what happens. But if you remember, now he goes along. So I really hit him hard. That first debate, and like he's this nice guy. I hit him so hard that he never came back at me again. It was like 30 seconds of horrible, horrible fury. And he went, oh, holy. And since then, Sarah, he's been a nice person. And then there was this horrible ad, one of the worst ads about me. I don't think any human being has ever had more advertising, negative ads. Every time I turn, the other day, last week, we had the World Championship of Golf at my resort, right, at Doral, right? Everybody watch? And a great guy, Adam Scott, won. Good old Adam. Adam's the greatest. But Adam Scott won. But it was so terrible. I'm in the booth with all of these people, and they're all the head of Cadillac, all these big people. And I'm watching the tournament's great. Because you see, they have televisions all over the place. We're watching, and Adam's playing great, and Rory, and everybody's playing great. And every time there's a commercial, it's about me. What a horrible human being. And I kept saying, turn that down, for the commercial. And by the way, they're such false commercials. They make up whatever they want to do. You know what you do? You go and you fight it. And by the time the election's over, they say, okay, we think you're right. Great. But let me tell you, I've never seen anything like it. The barrage, I think they've spent $38 million on negative ads. How am I getting these poll numbers, Sarah? What's going on? The truth is, the people of this country are smart. They get it, okay? They get it. So just to finish, then we'll take a few questions. But, it's very, very cute because, Carrier announced, we're leaving. Some management guy, looked like a mid-level management guy's up there talking to 1,400 people, really great people, the workers. It says, we're moving. I just want to let you know that Carrier's moving to Mexico. And they have an iPhone. Somebody had an iPhone. It wasn't supposed to be on. And it was all over television. And it was very sad to watch it. So here's the story. They talked about me acting presidential, but I can't do that for this. This is too easy. Carl Icahn endorsed me, great businessman. Many of the great business people endorsed me. They all want to help. They're going to negotiate for us. They're going to do great. They don't want any money. They just want to kill. These are great, great natural chess players, right? We have political hacks. We have political hacks negotiating. We have a very nice person, because Ivanka likes her. Carolyn Kennedy, ambassador to Japan, is in charge of Japanese and cars. I mean, come on, give me a break. Okay, so ready? So here's what we're doing. So I'm going to say to my wife, I'm sorry, let me act unpresidential. I got to do this one myself. I don't want Carl Icahn to do this. It's too easy, okay? It's too easy. You'll help. Anybody in this room could do better than what we do. So here's what we do. I call up the head of Carrier. This is the President of the United States, Mr. Donald Trump. Thank you. And I say, let me tell you, Mr. President of Carrier, let me just tell you something. Here's the story. I hope you enjoy your stay in Mexico. I hope you build a beautiful factory, a beautiful plant. You're going to love it. I hope your employees are going to be wonderful. But just so you understand, you left the United States. You discarded 1,400 great, great employees who have made you a lot of money for a lot of time. And you think you're going to build air conditioners in Mexico and send them across the border tax-free. Well, you're almost right. You can build and you can send, but you're going to pay a 35% tax on every unit that you send across the border. Every single unit. And let me just tell you what's... Now, and Sarah will tell you this, it's not that conservative to say that, but we have no choice. We have no choice. These conservative people, the National Review, they say, he's not a free trader. I am a free trader, but we have to be smart. We're losing all of our businesses. Pfizer just announced they're moving to Ireland. We're losing all of our businesses, okay? Thousands and thousands of jobs, millions of jobs. We're not going to have any businesses left. The only way, believe me, I was a really good student. I went to the best school. That's the only way to do it. Here's what you do. You're going to charge a tax. And the tax, when they leave and they want to build and they're going to send, you're going to pay 35% tax. But two things are going to happen. One of two things. Number one, they're not going to leave. And number two, if they do leave, they're going to pay us a hell of a lot of money. Okay, it's very simple. It's very simple. But here's what's going to happen. I'm self-funding my campaign. I'm putting up my own money. Okay, so I'm not. So, just in a nutshell. So I'm putting, and it's expensive. It's a lot of money. I know how to do it better than these guys. You know, in New Hampshire, I spent $2 million. I won't say who, but somebody that you know spent $49 million. I came in first. The person that spent $49 million in New Hampshire came in fifth, almost last. Who do you want as your president? Okay. Who? So here's what happens.